Hello there, and welcome to the Sleepy Mystery Channel. Tonight, we travel into the ancient world of standing stones, a place where forgotten builders raised megaliths with astonishing precision. These mysterious structures spanned hidden valleys, lonely islands, and sacred landscapes, and still resist modern explanation. Some of these stones were placed before written history. Some appear to follow the sun and the moon, while others track patterns in the night sky that are far more complex and harder to understand. Some carry legends of giants, witches, hidden energies, and lost knowledge encoded into the stones themselves. Were these circles calendars, temples, maps of the heavens, or burial grounds? Or were they something far stranger? If you enjoy these curious journeys, I invite you to like, subscribe, or share a thought below. It helps others find their way here too, one sleepy soul at a time. But for now, all you need to do is settle in. Let your shoulders soften. Let your breathing slow. And as the day begins to gently fade away, join me as we explore this ancient mystery together. Let's begin. Stone circles may be the oldest surviving machines for measuring the sky. Long before clocks, observatories, or written calendars, ancient communities learned to read time through shadow, light, and horizon. A circle of stones could turn the whole landscape into an instrument. Sunrise might appear between two uprights. The moon might skim a distant ridge. A shadow might fall across a chosen stone on a day that mattered. To the modern eye, these places can look simple. But to people living by seasons, migrations, harvests, and ceremonies, knowing when the sky would change was power. The mystery is not only that they watched the heavens, it is that they may have built permanent memory into the ground itself. Some people imagine priest astronomers tracking patterns for generations. Others see practical calendars wrapped in sacred meaning. Either way, the stones suggest a deep intelligence at work, one that measured the universe without paper, metal, or glass. Stonehenge was built before England had metal tools or written records. That single fact makes the achievement feel almost impossible. The builders shaped, transported, raised, and arranged massive stones using materials that seem humble to us now. Wood, rope, bone, antler, stone hammers, and human cooperation may have done the work. Yet the result still stands as one of the most famous monuments on Earth. There were no engineering manuals that we know of. No carved explanation survives beside it. No named architect steps forward from history. Instead, the place appears as a finished thought from a world that left almost no words behind. This is why alternative ideas gather around it so easily. Some imagine a lost science. Others picture a sacred class guarding knowledge through ritual and memory. The mainstream story is impressive enough, but the silence around the builders leaves room for wonder. They achieved something enormous before history learned how to speak. Some circles seem arranged to mark solstices with astonishing precision. The solstices were not just dates on a calendar. They were turning points in the year, when darkness reached its deepest point, or daylight stretched toward its longest breath. At certain monuments, the sun appears to rise or set in places that seem carefully framed by stones, entrances, or distant landmarks. The famous midwinter and midsummer alignments at great ceremonial sites suggest that ancient builders cared deeply about these moments. To a farming community, this could help organize the year. To a ritual community, it could signal renewal, death, return, and cosmic order. The strange part is how much patience such work may have required. Watching the horizon for one lifetime might not be enough to perfect a tradition. Some people wonder whether the circles preserved knowledge passed down across generations. The stones may not simply point at the sun. They may point at a long chain of human memory. The heaviest stones were moved farther than anyone expected. The Bluestones associated with Stonehenge are especially unsettling because their likely source lies far away in the Preseli Hills of Wales. That means people in the Neolithic world either transported them across a remarkable distance or selected stones already carried partway by natural forces. The human transport idea opens a flood of questions. Why choose those stones when local stone existed closer by? Why carry such weight through rivers, hills, marshland, and rough ground? Were the stones valued because of their origin, their color, their sound, or their connection to an ancestral homeland? Some people believe the journey mattered as much as the destination. Moving them could have united communities, created legend, and turned the stones into sacred travelers. More speculative voices suggest the builders understood properties we have forgotten. Whatever the answer, the distance transforms these monuments from local projects into stories of ambition across the landscape. Avebury is so large that a village grew inside it. Unlike monuments that stand apart from modern life, Avebury surrounds roads, houses, gardens, and daily routines. People can walk between enormous stones and then pass a cottage or a churchyard a few moments later. This makes the site feel less like a ruin and more like a living puzzle. The outer bank and ditch form a vast enclosure, and the stone settings inside create a ceremonial world on a scale that surprises almost every visitor. It raises a strange question. Was this place designed for a small group of specialists, or for enormous gatherings that brought people from far away? Its size suggests events that may have involved procession, trade, storytelling, feasting, and rites now completely lost. Some have imagined it as a spiritual capital of prehistoric Britain. Others see a landscape temple too large to understand from one viewpoint. At Avebury, the mystery is not hidden. It surrounds you. Some researchers believe stone circles formed a lost sacred network. When people began drawing lines between ancient monuments, hills, churches, trackways, and standing stones, a bigger possibility emerged. Perhaps these were not isolated sites at all. Perhaps they belonged to a connected landscape of movement, meaning, and ceremony. Leyline theories are debated, and many archaeologists remain cautious about patterns found by joining points on a map. Still, the idea remains powerful because the monuments often seem placed with unusual care. A circle might face a ridge. A burial mound might sit nearby. A path might lead toward water or another ancient feature. Even without accepting every grand claim, it is easy to imagine communities treating the land as a sacred map. Some people go further and suggest energy lines, earth currents, or hidden geometry. The fascination lies in the possibility that the old builders saw relationships we have forgotten how to notice, spread across miles of ordinary ground. The builders left no clear instructions for what the circles meant. This absence is what keeps the mystery alive. There are no surviving plaques explaining the ceremonies. No written myths from the original builders tell us which gods they honored or what fears brought them together. Archaeology can reveal tools, bones, stones, ditches, and traces of fire, but meaning is harder to recover. A burial can suggest reverence for the dead. An alignment can suggest skywatching. A carefully chosen entrance can suggest procession. Yet none of these clues fully unlock the human experience. Were people singing, mourning, celebrating, negotiating, healing, or listening for messages from the unseen world? The possibilities overlap without settling into one answer. This is why the circles feel different from many later monuments. They do not announce themselves. They invite interpretation. Every theory enters a chamber with no final door, and the silence of the builders becomes part of the monument itself. Several circles align with moon events that happen only rarely. Solar alignments are easier to understand because the sun returns to familiar extremes every year. Lunar patterns are stranger. The moon rises and sets across a wider, shifting range, and certain extreme positions take many years to repeat. Some monuments, especially in northern Britain and Scotland, appear connected to these long lunar cycles. If true, the builders were not simply noticing the bright full moon over a few evenings. They were watching the sky with patience that could stretch beyond one generation. This idea changes the emotional scale of the circles. They become instruments of waiting. A community might preserve knowledge for an event that children would see as adults, or adults would never see again. Some people think these rare alignments were used for ceremonies tied to renewal, ancestry, or prophecy. Others suspect coincidence in some cases. Yet the possibility remains astonishing. The stones may mark time on a rhythm larger than a human life. Folklore claims some stones walk, dance, or count themselves differently. Across Britain and Ireland, old stories insist that certain circles are not truly still. At midnight, some stones are said to leave their places to drink from a stream. Others were once human dancers turned to stone for breaking a sacred rule. In several places, people claim the stones cannot be counted accurately. You count them once, then again, and the number seems to change. These tales are easy to dismiss as village imagination, but they reveal something important. Long after the original purpose was forgotten, communities still felt the stones were active, watchful, and somehow beyond ordinary measurement. The stories protected the sites by making them uncanny. They also kept a sense of wonder alive. Some people now interpret these legends as coded memories of ceremonies, warnings, or astronomical movements. Whether folklore or hidden history, the message is clear. The stones were never treated as dead objects. The strangest stone circles may be hidden beneath ordinary fields. Some monuments have vanished so completely that nothing remains above ground. Their stones were dragged away for building walls, broken for roads, or buried by centuries of ploughing. Yet the earth can remember what the surface forgets. Archaeologists have found circular patterns through crop marks, soil changes, geophysical surveys, and aerial views taken in dry weather. A field that looks empty from a roadside may contain the footprint of a vanished ring, with sockets where stones once stood. This possibility makes the whole landscape feel charged with secrets. How many circles disappeared before anyone drew them? How many lie under pasture, housing, woodland, or farmland? Some people imagine that the known monuments are only fragments of a much larger sacred geography. The visible circles may be the survivors, not the full story. Beneath ordinary ground, there may be ceremonial worlds waiting in silence. Callanish points toward moonrise in a way that still feels deliberate. On the Isle of Lewis, the stones of Callanish stand in a dramatic arrangement that feels unlike many other circles. There is a central ring, long avenues, and a setting that pulls the eye toward the surrounding horizon. One of the most intriguing ideas is its possible relationship with the moon at special points in its cycle. Local tradition speaks of luminous appearances and ancient significance, while modern observers have explored how the moon moves across the nearby hills. The setting matters because the horizon is not blank. It has shapes that could serve as markers. When the moon appears in the right place, the site can feel staged for a sky event. Some people see this as evidence of advanced prehistoric observation. Others suggest that later imagination has amplified the pattern. Still, Callanish has a force that is difficult to reduce. It feels like a monument built in conversation with the heavens. The Ring of Brodgar sits inside a landscape crowded with monuments. In Orkney, the famous circle is not alone. It belongs to a dense prehistoric world of tombs, settlements, standing stones, and ceremonial structures. The Ness of Brodgar, the stones of Stenness, Misho, and nearby sites suggest a landscape of extraordinary importance. This changes how we understand the ring itself. It may not have been a lonely place of worship. It may have been one part of a much larger sacred complex where people moved between locations during ceremonies that unfolded across the land. The number of monuments in the area raises a powerful question. Why did this island landscape become such a center of activity? Some people imagine Orkney as a spiritual hub that influenced distant communities. Others picture seasonal gatherings where alliances were formed and stories were exchanged. The Ring of Brodgar feels less like a single mystery and more like a doorway into an entire vanished world. Castlereagh may have framed mountains as part of its mystery. Set in the Lake District, Castlereagh does not rely on size alone to impress visitors. Its power comes from placement. The circle stands amid a wide bowl of peaks, where the surrounding mountains seem to form part of the design. This has led many to wonder whether the builders chose the site because the natural horizon already felt sacred. The stones may have marked a meeting place, but the mountains may have completed the monument. Some alignments have been proposed with particular peaks and celestial events, although interpretations vary. What seems clear is that the location was not random. Standing there, it is hard to imagine the builders ignoring the dramatic landscape around them. The circle may have worked as a gathering point where people, sky, and land were brought into one experience. For those drawn to alternative ideas, Castlereagh suggests that ancient architecture may have included the entire visible world. Long Meg carries carvings that still resist simple explanation. Near the circle known as Long Meg and her daughters, one tall outlying stone bears ancient carvings. Spirals, rings, and cup-like markings appear on its surface, and their meaning remains uncertain. These symbols pull the site into a deeper mystery because they suggest that at least one stone was more than a marker. It may have carried memory, ritual meaning, or a visual language now lost. Spirals appear in other prehistoric contexts, sometimes linked with movement, the sun, water, altered states, or journeys between worlds. Nobody can say with certainty what the marks meant to the people who made them. Their survival feels almost like a message with the key removed. Some people imagine the carvings as star maps, energy symbols, or records of visionary experience. Others prefer a more grounded ritual explanation. Either way, they give the monument a voice that speaks in signs rather than words. The Rollright stones are tied to kings, witches, and impossible counting. In Oxfordshire, this group of monuments has gathered some of the richest folklore attached to any stone circle. Stories tell of a king and his army transformed into stone by a witch. The nearby King's Stone and Whispering Knights add characters to the legend, turning the landscape into a frozen tale. There is also the familiar claim that the stones cannot be counted the same way twice. Such stories may sound playful, but they show how strongly later generations felt the site was enchanted. The monuments themselves come from different prehistoric periods, which means the landscape was important for a long time before the legends were recorded. Some people think the folklore preserves distorted memories of power, conflict, or taboo. Others see Christian-era warnings attached to older pagan places. The Rollright stones remind us that mystery does not end when construction stops. It keeps growing through the stories people tell afterward. Stanton Drew May hide a buried wooden temple beneath the ground. For many years, Stanton Drew looked impressive because of its visible stones. Then underground surveys revealed something even more startling. Beneath the surface, there appear to be traces of a large timber structure, with patterns suggesting posts set in the earth long ago. This discovery opened the possibility that the stone circles were only the visible remains of a larger ceremonial landscape. If great wooden settings once stood there, the site may have been far more complex than anyone guessed. Timber monuments could have risen, decayed, been replaced, or been remembered after they vanished. That creates an eerie contrast between materials. Stone survives and becomes famous. Wood disappears and becomes rumor beneath the soil. Some people wonder whether timber represented the living world while stone represented ancestors or eternity. Whatever the meaning, Stanton Drew shows how much of the ancient story may be underground, invisible until modern instruments begin to listen. The recumbent stone circles of Scotland follow a pattern found nowhere else. In northeast Scotland, a distinctive type of circle appears with a large stone laid horizontally between two upright flankers. This recumbent arrangement gives the monuments a character unlike the upright rings most people imagine. The heavy horizontal stone often sips toward the southwest, which has encouraged ideas about moon watching, ceremony, and the framing of celestial events. These circles were not copies of Stonehenge or Avebury. They belong to a regional tradition with its own rules, choices, and symbolism. That alone is fascinating because it shows that prehistoric monument building was not one simple movement. It was a patchwork of local knowledge. Some people see the recumbent stone as an altar, a threshold, or a symbolic horizon. Others connect it to lunar movements or rites involving the dead. The mystery is why this design mattered so deeply in one part of Scotland, yet remained rare elsewhere. Some stone circles were rebuilt so carefully that earlier plans survived. Ancient monuments were not always built once and then left unchanged. At some sites, evidence suggests stones were moved, replaced, reconfigured, or sat after earlier features had already defined the sacred space. This means the builders were sometimes working with memory rather than starting from nothing. They may have respected an older layout, corrected it, expanded it, or transformed it for new rituals. A circle could therefore contain several periods of belief layered together. That makes interpretation difficult. One stone might belong to a later phase, while a buried post hole may preserve the first idea behind the place. Some people find this especially intriguing because it suggests long-term guardianship. Communities may have inherited monuments whose original purpose was already old, yet still powerful. The past was being curated by people who also lived in the past. These circles are not frozen moments. They are conversations across centuries. Bluestone chips at Stonehenge hint at rituals we barely understand. Small fragments can sometimes be as intriguing as giant stones. At Stonehenge, pieces of bluestone have been found in ways that raise questions about how people treated the material. Were chips knocked off during shaping, or were they deliberately taken as meaningful objects? In later folklore, certain stones were believed to have healing power, and some people have wondered whether older beliefs about special stone qualities reached far back into prehistory. The bluestones came from a distant landscape, which may have made even small pieces important. A fragment could have been a token, an offering, a charm, or a memory of a sacred place. Of course, practical explanations remain possible. Construction leaves debris, yet the unusual attention given to these stones makes the fragments feel charged with possibility. They suggest that Stonehenge was not only about scale. It may also have involved intimate rituals involving pieces small enough to hold. The Preseli Hills may have been sacred before Stonehenge existed. If the bluestones came from this Welsh landscape, then the story may begin long before they reached Salisbury Plain. The stones were not just raw building material. They may have been taken from a place already rich with meaning. Some evidence has encouraged the idea that monuments or stone settings existed near the source, raising a fascinating possibility. Perhaps the builders did not simply quarry stones. Perhaps they moved part of a sacred landscape from one region to another. That changes everything. Transport becomes migration of memory. The monument becomes a meeting of places. People may have carried ancestral power, origin stories, or the authority of a distant mountain into a new ceremonial center. Some people go further and imagine the stones as living presences, not objects. Whether that is literal belief or symbolic language, the idea is compelling. Stonehenge may contain the echo of another sacred world hidden inside it. Builders may have chosen stones for their sound as well as size. Some ancient stones do more than stand there. When struck carefully, certain rocks produce clear tones, hollow notes, or bell-like rings that seem completely unexpected from something so heavy. This has led to a fascinating possibility. Maybe some stones were selected because they could be heard, not just seen. In a world without amplifiers, churches, or concert halls, sound itself could feel sacred. A ringing stone might seem alive. It might answer a drum, a chant, or a footstep. People gathering in darkness may have experienced the monument through vibration as much as sight. Some people imagine ceremonies where particular stones were touched, struck, or awakened at chosen moments. Others see this as an overlooked practical detail from a culture that understood materials through the body. The idea changes the circles completely. They were not silent monuments. They may have been instruments waiting for human hands. Certain stones ring when struck, which inspired strange acoustic theories. There are places where standing stones have been tested for unusual sound, and the results have stirred more questions than answers. Some rocks give a dull thud, while others seem to carry a resonant note. That difference has inspired theories about prehistoric soundscapes, ritual music, and even healing vibrations. It is easy to imagine a ceremony where the first strike of stone against stone signaled that something important was beginning. The air would change. People would listen. The monument would feel responsive. Some people go further and suggest that sound could have helped induce trance states, especially when combined with chanting, drums, and night gatherings. Others argue that acoustic qualities were simply noticed after the stones were raised. Yet the possibility remains irresistible. If the builders cared about sound, then modern visitors are missing half the experience. We look at the stones, but perhaps they were once meant to be heard. Some circles seem designed for ceremonies involving echo and silence. A stone circle can shape attention in ways that are easy to underestimate. Stand inside one, and the outside world often feels slightly pushed away. Voices carry differently. Footsteps become noticeable. Even a pause can feel deliberate. Some monuments may have been chosen or arranged to heighten this effect. The surrounding banks, nearby hills, and open spaces could create a chamber without walls. In such a setting, a speaker, singer, or ritual leader might command attention without needing a throne or platform. Silence could become part of the ceremony. A crowd waiting for sunrise, moonrise, or a procession would experience the place through tension and stillness. Some people believe these environments were designed for altered perception. Others see gathering spaces made powerful by repeated use. Either way, the circle becomes more than architecture. It becomes a frame for listening, where every sound inside the ring might have seemed charged with meaning. The entrances of many circles face directions that feel carefully chosen. Not every opening in a prehistoric monument seems accidental. Some entrances guide the body toward a certain horizon, another monument, a water source, or the path of the sun. This matters because entering a sacred space is never neutral. The first view can shape the whole experience. A person might walk through a gap and face a rising light, a distant hill, or a central stone that suddenly appears aligned. That kind of approach could turn movement into ceremony. It may have taught people where to look and when to gather. Some people suggest that entrances worked like thresholds between ordinary land and ritual land. Others think they controlled processions during festivals or funerary events. The mystery deepens when different sites use different orientations. There was no single universal rule. Each place seems to have had its own relationship with landscape, sky, and memory. Burials near stone circles suggest ancestors remained part of the site. At some monuments, the dead were placed close enough to suggest continuing importance rather than simple disposal. Cremated remains, burial mounds, and grave goods in nearby landscapes reveal that circles could belong to a wider world of ancestry and remembrance. This does not mean every circle was built as a cemetery. The pattern is more subtle than that. The living may have gathered where the dead were already present, or the dead may have been placed near sites that were powerful for other reasons. In either case, the boundary between ceremony and ancestry becomes difficult to separate. Some people imagine gatherings where family lines, origin stories, and sacred obligations were renewed. Others see political meaning, with communities using ancient places to claim belonging. The stones may have watched over more than seasons. They may have held the memory of people whose names vanished, while their presence remained woven into the ground. Some circles were placed where older sacred paths already crossed. A monument does not always begin with the stone. Sometimes the place may already have mattered because people moved through it for generations. Ancient tracks, seasonal routes, and paths between valleys could create natural meeting points long before a circle was built. If a site stood where routes crossed, the monument may have marked a place of exchange as well as ceremony. People could arrive from different directions carrying food, news, tools, stories, and obligations. The circle would become a shared center for groups that did not live together all year. Some people believe certain monuments were placed on older pilgrimage routes. Others think the builders formalized gathering spots that were already known through travel and tradition. This adds a human warmth to the mystery. These were not only structures for sky watching or burial. They may have stood where footsteps had already made the land meaningful. The stones often appear beside rivers, springs, and ancient routeways. Water has a strange way of drawing sacred places toward it. Rivers provide movement, food, boundaries, and routes through the land. Springs emerge from underground, which made them feel mysterious to many ancient cultures. When stone circles appear near water or old pathways, it suggests that practical life and sacred life may have overlapped. A river crossing could become a gathering place. A spring could be seen as a point where hidden forces surfaced. A routeway could bring people from distant settlements to the same ceremonial ground. Some people see these patterns as evidence of a landscape philosophy where water, movement, and stone belong together. Others think communities simply built where access was easiest. Yet the repeated association keeps the question alive. Perhaps the builders chose places where the land already felt connected. The stones did not create the sacredness alone. They may have anchored it. Many circles were built on land already haunted by older monuments. Prehistoric landscapes were often layered before the first standing stones arrived. Long barrows, burial mounds, earthworks, and timber settings could already have given a place deep significance. When later communities built circles nearby, they were entering a conversation with people who had lived long before them. This creates a striking image. Even in the Neolithic or Bronze Age, some monuments were already ancient. The builders may have known old stories about them, or they may have inherited only a sense that the place mattered. Some people suggest that new circles were built to claim authority from older sacred sites. Others think they were acts of renewal, where a community refreshed a holy landscape rather than replacing it. This is one reason these places feel so dense with mystery. They are not single moments from the past. They are stacks of memory, with one vanished generation reaching toward another. The oldest circles may have begun as timber monuments before stone. Wood was once a major material in ceremonial architecture, even though it rarely survives. Before some stones were raised, there may have been rings of posts, wooden avenues, or temporary structures that shaped the same sacred spaces. This possibility changes how we imagine the origins of stone circles. They may not have appeared suddenly as permanent monuments. They may have grown from older wooden designs that were rebuilt in a material meant to last. Wood rots, burns, and changes with the seasons. Stone endures. Some people see this shift as symbolic, with wood connected to the living and stone connected to the ancestors. Others view it as a practical transition from temporary gathering markers to lasting community monuments. The missing timber world makes interpretation difficult because so much has vanished. What looks like the beginning may actually be the final version of a tradition whose earliest form has almost disappeared. Some missing stones are known only through buried sockets. A vanished stone can still leave a wound in the earth. When archaeologists find pits where uprights once stood, they can reconstruct parts of a circle, even when the stones themselves are gone. These sockets may contain packing stones, soil changes, or traces showing how heavy blocks were stabilized. The effect is oddly dramatic. A field might seem incomplete, but below the surface, the missing pattern remains. Each empty socket is evidence of absence. It tells us that the monument once had a different shape, a fuller presence, and perhaps a more complex meaning. Some stones were removed for building material. Others may have fallen, been buried, or deliberately taken away during later periods. Some people wonder whether removing a stone could itself have been ritual, like ending a ceremony or breaking an old power. The buried sockets remind us that the circles we see may be only partial survivors. Farmers removed many stones before anyone recorded their original positions. For centuries, standing stones were not always treated as priceless monuments. To a farmer trying to clear land, a large stone could be an obstacle. To a builder needing material, it could become a wall, a gatepost, or part of a barn. Many circles suffered before antiquarians, surveyors, and heritage laws began protecting them. The frustrating part is that removal often happened before accurate maps were made. A missing stone might change the geometry, erase an entrance, or destroy an alignment that once mattered. Later visitors then inherit an altered monument and mistake it for the original design. Some people imagine that many mysteries became unsolvable, not because the builders were unknowable, but because later centuries disturbed the evidence. There is also a stranger possibility. Local traditions may have remembered where stones stood after the stones themselves disappeared. The land kept fragments of knowledge through names, stories, and boundaries. Medieval churchmen sometimes treated stone circles as dangerous pagan leftovers. By the medieval period, the old monuments were already beyond explanation, and that made them suspicious. Some Christian writers and local authorities viewed ancient stones as remnants of forbidden belief, superstition, or demonic activity. This attitude may have encouraged damage, avoidance, or attempts to overwrite older sacred places with newer religious meanings. At the same time, the fear tells us something important. The stones still had power in local imagination. People did not always see them as harmless rocks. There were places where strange customs might survive, where old stories clung, and where the boundary between official religion and folk belief could blur. Some people think this tension helped preserve legends about witches, giants, and enchantment. Others see it as evidence of cultural memory that refused to vanish. The monuments became battlegrounds of meaning. Even after their builders were gone, they were still unsettling enough to be watched. Folklore often explains circles as dancers punished for forbidden celebrations. One of the most common legends says that a group of people danced when they should not have danced, and the stones are their bodies transformed forever. These stories appear in different regions with local variations, often involving music, holy days, or a supernatural punishment. On the surface, they sound like moral tales. But they may also preserve the memory of real gatherings where dance, rhythm, and ceremony took place in circular spaces. The punishment theme could be a later explanation added by communities uneasy with older traditions. Some people read these stories as warnings against crossing sacred boundaries. Others see them as Christian retellings of prehistoric rituals that were no longer understood. The fascinating thing is how often movement lies at the heart of the legend. The stones are not imagined as builders, warriors, or kings. They are dancers. That may be a clue to how alive these places once felt. Some legends claim the stones cannot be counted twice the same way. The impossible counting motif appears at several stone circles, and it is stranger than it first sounds. A person walks around, counts carefully, and gets one number. Then they try again, and the total somehow changes. Of course, uneven spacing, fallen stones, broken fragments, and hidden rocks can explain some confusion. But folklore turns that confusion into enchantment. The circle resists being reduced to a simple number. It refuses control. In older belief, counting could be a way of claiming power over something. A place that cannot be counted becomes a place that remains free, secretive, and alive. Some people suggest that these stories protected monuments from casual interference. Others wonder whether shifting counts reflect memories of stones being added, removed, or rearranged. The legend works because it makes the visitor participate in the mystery. You do not just hear that the place is strange. You try to count it, and the story begins. Merlin was once credited with moving Stonehenge by hidden magic. In medieval legend, the great stones were not moved by sledges, ropes, or teams of determined workers. They were brought through the power of Merlin. Some versions say the stones came from Ireland, where they had healing properties and ancient importance. Merlin then used knowledge beyond ordinary understanding to transport and raise them. This tale may not tell us how Stonehenge was actually built, but it reveals how later people responded to the monument. They looked at the scale, the arrangement, and the mystery, then decided normal explanation was not enough. Magic became a way to honor the impossible. Some people see the story as pure medieval imagination. Others wonder whether it preserves distorted memories of distant stone origins and special stone qualities. That is what makes the legend so compelling. It may be wrong in detail, but emotionally, it understands the problem. Stonehenge looks like a place that demanded extraordinary power. Giants appear in many stories about how the stones were raised. When ordinary human effort seems too small, folklore often calls in giants. Across Britain and beyond, enormous stones are said to have been thrown, carried, dropped, or arranged by beings of impossible strength. These tales may sound fanciful, yet they solve a real imaginative problem. How did people without modern machinery move stones that still challenge modern expectation? Giants give a simple answer, but they also turn the monuments into remains of an older, larger world. Some people have suggested that giant legends preserve memories of powerful ancestors, elite builders, or cultures whose skills later communities could no longer explain. Others see them as mythic expressions of awe. The stories often attach to specific stones, hills, and local landmarks, which makes them feel rooted rather than random. Even if giants never walked those fields, the legends reveal how profoundly the stones disrupted common sense. They looked too heavy for history. Fairies were blamed for circles that appeared too strange for history. In many rural traditions, fairies were not tiny storybook creatures. They were mysterious beings connected with ancient places, sudden misfortune, hidden music, and rules humans did not fully understand. Stone circles easily became part of that world. Their unknown origins made them perfect fairy places. People might avoid them after dark, leave offerings nearby, or tell children not to disturb them. This was not just superstition. It was a way of giving social protection to sites whose purpose had been forgotten. A fairy explanation made the monuments active and dangerous in the imagination. Some people think these beliefs may preserve faint memories of older ritual restrictions. Others see them as later folklore growing around prehistoric remains. Either way, the connection is fascinating because it shows how the circles kept attracting invisible societies after their human builders vanished. When history fell silent, the fair folk moved into the gap. Some people believed the stones healed sickness during certain nights. Old tradition sometimes treated particular stones as sources of healing. People might touch them, pass through gaps, visit at specific times, or seek help during certain nights of the year. These beliefs varied from place to place, but they reveal a deep idea. The stones were not always seen as monuments to look at. They could be approached as powers to interact with. A stone brought from far away, placed in a sacred setting, or linked with ancient ancestors, might be thought to hold unusual force. Some people today connect these traditions with earth energy, mineral properties, or forgotten healing rites. Others interpret them as folk medicine shaped by belief and community ritual. The details may never be provable, but the pattern matters. People return to these places when something needed to be restored. In that sense, the stones were not merely reminders of the past. They were part of hope. Offerings left at circles suggest old beliefs never fully disappeared. Even in modern times, visitors sometimes leave flowers, coins, ribbons, shells, crystals, or handwritten notes at ancient circles. Official caretakers may discourage this because objects can damage delicate sites, yet the impulse is revealing. People still feel moved to give something back. That impulse may echo much older practices, when offerings were placed in pits, water, or sacred spaces as part of ceremony. The continuity is impossible to prove in a straight line, but the emotional pattern is striking. A monument whose original meaning is lost can still generate ritual behavior. Some visitors arrive as tourists and leave feeling they have crossed into something personal. Some people see this as evidence that the places remain spiritually active. Others view it as the human mind responding to age, scale, and mystery. Either way, the act of leaving an offering shows that the circles still invite relationship, not just observation. Modern visitors still report powerful feelings at certain stone circles. Ask enough people about ancient stone sites, and a curious pattern appears. Some describe calm, pressure, sadness, excitement, dizziness, or a sense of being watched. Others say a circle feels charged at sunrise, different in fog, or strangely intense when visited alone. These reports are subjective, and not everyone feels anything unusual. Yet they persist across many places and many kinds of visitors. Psychology can explain part of it. Age, expectation, landscape, and silence can affect perception. But some people believe the sites themselves hold energy, memory, or an imprint from repeated ceremony. The interesting point is that the monuments still create experiences. They are not just archaeological diagrams. They affect bodies, moods, and imagination. Whether the cause is atmosphere, belief, underground geology, or something more elusive, the result is real to the person standing there. The stones continue to do something, even when nobody agrees what it is. Dowsers claim invisible lines connect circles across long distances. Dowsing is controversial, but it has played a major role in alternative interpretations of ancient landscapes. Using rods, pendulums, or bodily sensation, dowsers claim to detect unseen lines of force running through monuments, springs, churches, and standing stones. Skeptics argue that the results come from expectation and subtle unconscious movement. Believers say the consistency of certain patterns deserves attention. Stone circles often appear in these claims because they already feel like places where hidden order might surface. A dowser may describe crossing currents, spirals, or paths of energy inside a ring. Some people imagine that ancient builders knew how to find and mark these invisible flows. Others see dowsing as a modern myth layered onto old places. The mystery lies in the persistence of the practice. People keep returning with rods in hand because ordinary maps feel incomplete. They are searching for a landscape beneath the landscape. Leyline theories turned old monuments into a possible ancient grid. In the early modern study of ancient landscapes, one idea captured the public imagination more than almost any other. Straight lines drawn across maps seemed to link standing stones, hilltops, burial sites, old churches, and other historic features. To some, these alignments suggested ancient trackways. To others, they hinted at a deliberate grid built for energy, navigation, or spiritual power. Critics point out that a crowded landscape can produce many lines by chance. Yet the idea refuses to disappear because it offers a thrilling possibility. Maybe the monuments were not scattered relics. Maybe they were points in the vast design. Some people imagine prehistoric surveyors using sightlines from hill to hill. Others picture a sacred network whose purpose was later forgotten. Even when specific claims are debated, lay theories changed how many people see stone circles. They became nodes in a larger mystery, not lonely ruins. Some writers believe circles marked energy points in the living landscape. The idea of earth energy is not part of conventional archaeology, but it remains deeply appealing. In this view, the land itself has currents, pressure points, or subtle forces, and ancient builders knew how to recognize them. Stone circles would then be markers, amplifiers, or stabilizers, placed where those forces gathered. Some people compare them to acupuncture points on a body. Others speak of magnetism, underground water, mineral seams, or forces not yet measured. The evidence is debated, but the concept has a powerful imaginative logic. The sites often feel carefully located, and many are connected with hills, springs, horizons, or older monuments. A purely practical explanation does not always satisfy the experience of being there. For those drawn to fringe possibilities, the circles become part of a living earth technology. The stones are not merely arranged on the land. They are participating in something the land is doing. Others see stone circles as memory devices for forgotten knowledge. Without writing, a society still needs ways to preserve complex information. Stories, songs, ceremonies, and repeated movement can carry knowledge across generations. Stone circles may have helped organize that memory. A particular stone could mark a season, a clan, a story, a direction, or a stage in ritual instruction. Walking the circle might have been like moving through a teaching system. Each position could trigger a remembered phrase, myth, or obligation. This idea does not require the monument to be a machine in the modern sense. It makes the circle a durable pattern for human minds. Some people extend the theory into lost astronomy, healing systems, or maps of ancestral journeys. Others prefer a simpler version tied to social memory and ceremony. Either way, the possibility is fascinating because it gives the stones a hidden intellectual life. They may have stored information in place, shape, direction, and repeated action. A fringe theory claims the stones helped predict eclipses. Eclipses must have been overwhelming events in prehistory. The sun could darken. The moon could be swallowed. The ordinary sky could suddenly feel unreliable. It is no surprise that some people have wondered whether ancient monuments helped track the patterns behind such moments. At Stonehenge in particular, ideas have been proposed about using stones, holes, or marker positions to follow lunar cycles that relate to eclipses. The theory is debated, and many scholars are cautious. Predicting eclipses accurately is difficult, especially without written mathematics. Yet the possibility remains exciting because it asks us to raise our estimate of ancient sky knowledge. Even partial prediction would have seemed extraordinary. A leader who knew when a darkening might occur would possess immense authority. Whether the circles truly work this way or not, the theory captures something important. These monuments may have helped people face the most dramatic surprises in the heavens. Another idea links circles to sound, trance, and altered perception. Ceremony is not only about belief. It is also about what happens inside the mind and body. Repetition, rhythm, darkness, chanting, fasting, and focused movement can change perception in powerful ways. A stone circle could provide the setting for such experiences. The ring creates boundary. The open sky creates scale. The stones create stations for movement or attention. Some people believe that ceremonies inside circles may have guided participants into trance, where visions, ancestor encounters, or messages from unseen realms felt possible. This does not require imagining anything crude or chaotic. It could have been structured, meaningful, and controlled by people trained in ritual practice. Modern experiments with sound and enclosed spaces have encouraged fresh curiosity about how ancient sites affected the senses. The mystery is not simply what people believed. It is what they experienced. The circles may have been built to change consciousness. Some researchers wonder whether circles mapped the heavens onto Earth. Ancient people often saw the sky and land as connected, rather than separate. A stone circle may have been a way of bringing that connection into physical form. Certain stones could represent sunrise points, moon paths, bright stars, or directions associated with myth. The ring itself might echo the circular motion of the heavens, while the center becomes a place where earth and sky meet. This idea appears in many forms, from careful astronomical interpretation to much more speculative star map theories. Some people suggest that monuments preserved constellations or cosmic diagrams. Others think the mapping was symbolic rather than exact. What makes the idea compelling is the human desire to place ourselves inside a larger order. Standing in a circle beneath the night sky, the connection would be immediate. The stones might not simply watch the heavens. They might bring the heavens down to a scale humans could walk through. The stones may have created calendars for farming and ceremony together. In ancient life, practical timing and sacred timing were not always separate. Knowing when to plant, move animals, prepare stores, or gather with neighboring groups could be tied to rituals that gave those actions meaning. A stone circle that marked seasonal change may have served both needs at once. The return of a sunrise point could signal work in the fields, but also a festival, a rite of renewal, or a remembrance of ancestors. This blending is important because it prevents us from reducing the monuments to either tools or temples. They could be both. Some people imagine communities using these places to coordinate labor, marriage exchanges, feasts, and ceremonies. Others emphasize the spiritual drama of watching the sky confirm the turning year. The stones may have transformed practical knowledge into public experience. Time became visible, shared, and sacred under the open sky. Moon alignments suggest builders tracked more than the yearly sun. The sun gives a steady rhythm, but the moon is more elusive. It changes shape, brightness, rising point, and timing in ways that create a more complicated pattern. If builders paid attention to lunar movements, their sky watching was far richer than a simple annual calendar. The moon mattered for night travel, tides in coastal regions, animal behavior, and ritual symbolism connected with growth, decline, and return. Certain monuments seem to show interest in where the moon rises or sets at special extremes. This suggests patient observation and a tradition able to preserve subtle knowledge. Some people connect lunar alignments with ceremonies for the dead because moonlight can transform a landscape without erasing darkness. Others see links to fertility, water, or prophecy. The uncertainty only adds to the fascination. Solar monuments feel impressive. Lunar monuments feel secretive because their patterns ask people to watch longer and look more carefully. Some circles may have honored stars now shifted by time. The night sky is not perfectly fixed across deep time. Because of slow changes in Earth's orientation, stars rise and set in slightly different places across thousands of years. This means a possible stellar alignment at a stone circle may no longer be obvious today. A star that once appeared over a notch, peak, or standing stone could have drifted away from that ancient position. This opens a difficult but intriguing field of interpretation. Were some circles connected to bright stars that mattered in lost myths? Did certain heliacal risings announce seasons, voyages, or ceremonies? The evidence is hard to prove because stars are many, and alignments can be found too easily if the rules are loose. Still, the possibility is magnificent. It reminds us that the sky the builders knew was not exactly ours. Their heavens had the same stars, but arranged in slightly different moments of meaning. The pipers near the Merry Maidens continue an old dancing legend. In Cornwall, the story does not stop with one circle. Two standing stones nearby are said to be musicians who played for dancers at the wrong time, then suffered the same supernatural fate. This gives the landscape a strange theatrical quality. The ring becomes the dancers, while the outliers become the players who set everything in motion. It is folklore, of course, but it may preserve a memory of music, gathering, and movement around the stones. The legend also turns the site into a warning about crossing sacred rules. People once used stories like this to explain why the stones stood apart from ordinary life. Some people imagine a buried echo of prehistoric ceremony behind the tale. Others see a later moral lesson attached to a much older place. Either way, the pipers make the whole setting feel like a frozen performance, waiting for the music to begin again. The Merry Maidens form one of Cornwall's most perfect circles. This Cornish monument is often admired because its shape feels unusually complete. The stones are not enormous compared with some famous sites, but their arrangement has a satisfying balance that draws the eye around the ring. That sense of order raises a simple and powerful question. Why did the builders care so much about the circle being so clean? A practical gathering place did not need such elegance. A rough boundary would have worked. The precision suggests intention, and intention suggests meaning. Some people see it as a ceremonial stage, where the geometry itself mattered. Others wonder whether the ring once helped mark movements of the sky, or organize people during rituals. Its local legends add another layer, but the fall alone is enough to intrigue. The monument feels planned, measured, and remembered. It is not just a group of stones. It is a completed thought in stone, Dromeg in Ireland frames the winter sunset with quiet accuracy. On the coast of County Cork, this circle has a recumbent stone and an entrance arrangement that draw attention toward the low winter sun. Around midwinter, the sunset appears in a position that has long encouraged theories about seasonal ceremony. Imagine a small community gathering at the darkest part of the year, waiting for light to fall through the monument in just the right way. That moment would not need written explanation. Everyone present would feel the year turning. Nearby remains also suggest activity beyond simple observation, including cooking places and domestic traces. This makes the site feel intimate rather than remote. It was not only a monument in the landscape. It may have been part of a lived ceremonial setting. Some people see Dromeg as proof of careful sky watching. Others prefer a broader ritual interpretation. The mystery is how the practical, the social, and the cosmic came together there. Grange Stone Circle encloses a space larger than many expected. In County Limerick, this Irish circle surprises visitors with its scale and solidity. The stones form a large enclosed area that feels almost like an open-air room. A massive entrance stone gives the site a sense of arrival, as though people were meant to pass into a defined ceremonial world. The setting near Lough Gur matters too, because the wider landscape contains many traces of ancient settlement and ritual activity. This was not a random ring on empty ground. It belonged to a place where people lived, gathered, and returned across time. Some people wonder whether the enclosed space held seasonal assemblies, rites of passage, or ceremonies connected to water and ancestry. Others see a monument shaped to impress crowds. Its size invites speculation because it feels larger than a small local shrine. Grange suggests that some circles were built for public drama, not private devotion. The Beltany Circle may point toward sunrise and seasonal gatherings. High in County Donegal, this circle stands in a position with wide views across the surrounding countryside. Its name has often been linked in popular imagination with Beltane, the spring festival associated with fire, renewal, and the return of warmer days. The direct historical connection is debated, but the association is powerful because the site feels suited to seasonal gathering. Some alignments have been suggested with sunrise points and distant landscape features. Whether every claim is accepted or not, the monument clearly occupies a place of visibility and presence. People arriving there would see far beyond the ring itself. That matters because ceremony is partly about setting. A hilltop circle can make a group feel suspended between earth and sky. Some people imagine fires, processions, and watching for the first light of a meaningful day. Beltany keeps it secret, but its position makes ordinary explanations feel too small. Bigmore includes circles, rows, and cairns in one puzzling complex. In County Tyrone, the stones do not form a single, simple monument. Instead, the site contains multiple circles, alignments, and burial cairns spread across a peatland setting. This complexity makes Bigmore feel like a code rather than a landmark. Why build so many related features in one place? Why combine rings, rows, and funerary elements in a pattern that still resists easy reading? The site was partly hidden under peat for a long time, which gives it the feeling of a recovered world. Some people connect the rows and circles with solar or lunar observations. Others emphasize the relationship between the living and the dead. There may have been ceremonies that moved from one feature to another, creating a journey across the complex. Bigmore is fascinating because it refuses to be only one thing. It feels like a ritual landscape with several layers operating at once. The 12 Apostles' Circle stands high on lonely Yorkshire moorland. On the moors above Ilkley, this weathered ring has a name that came long after the people who raised it. The Christian title gives the site a familiar mask. But the monument itself belongs to a far older world. Its elevated setting is part of the mystery. A circle built on open moorland would be exposed to wind, cloud, and wide horizons. It may have been visible from routes across the uplands, or it may have served people who knew the moor as a sacred working landscape. Nearby carved rocks add further intrigue because the region contains prehistoric markings that suggest repeated symbolic activity. Some people sense a connection between the circle, the rock art, and the dramatic sky above the moor. Others see a local ceremonial place later renamed to fit a new age. The result is a monument standing between identities, ancient in origin and layered with later belief. Swinside survived because its remote setting protected its ancient shape. In Cumbria, this circle is treasured partly because it remains unusually complete. Its location helped save it from the heavier disturbance suffered by more accessible monuments. Instead of being swallowed by towns or heavily robbed for building material, it kept much of its ring intact. That survival gives modern visitors a rare chance to feel the planned shape of a prehistoric circle without too many missing pieces. The site is also surrounded by hills, which makes it feel enclosed by the wider landscape. The stones are modest individually, but together they create a powerful sense of design. Some people have suggested that the entrance and setting may have had ceremonial significance. Others are struck by the way the circle seems to belong to its valley rather than dominate it. Swinside reminds us that remoteness can be a form of protection. Because it was harder to reach, more of its ancient presence remained. Arbor Low began as earth and ditch before stones became central. This Derbyshire monument challenges the usual picture of stone circles. The first impression is not only the stones, many of which now lie flat, but the great bank and ditch that shape the enclosure around them. That earthwork matters because it suggests a ceremonial space defined by digging, labor, and boundary before the stones became the main focus. Visitors look down into the site as much as across it, which creates a different feeling from a ring standing on open ground. The fallen stones add another question. Were they deliberately laid down, or did time and disturbance bring them to the ground? Some people imagine the site as a place of processions, where entering the enclosure changed status or meaning. Others see a regional version of the henge tradition. Arbor Low shows that the stone circle was sometimes only one part of a larger architectural idea. The hurlers are linked to an old warning about Sunday games. On Bodmin Moor, 3 stone circles carry a legend about men turned to stone for playing a game when they should have been observing sacred rest. The story reflects a later moral world, but the monument beneath it is much older and far more mysterious. 3 related circles in one place are unusual enough to demand attention. Whether used by different groups, different ceremonies, or different stages of a single ritual movement, the name turns the stones into players caught mid-action, which may preserve a memory of motion, competition, or gathering. Some people have explored possible alignments in the wider moorland setting. Others focus on the relationship between the 3 rings and nearby stones. The warning tale may not explain the origin, but it kept the site alive in local imagination. The hurlers stand as both prehistoric architecture and a later story about forbidden play. Some circles were never perfect circles, which may have been intentional. Modern minds often expect ancient builders to aim for perfect geometry. Yet many stone rings are irregular, flattened, oval, or subtly distorted. That does not always mean the builders failed. They may have been responding to terrain, sightlines, existing features, or rules that had nothing to do with mathematical perfection. A shape that looks uneven on paper may work beautifully when experienced on foot. It may guide movement toward a hill, frame an approach, or create different spaces within the same monument. Some people think irregular circles reflect local traditions with meanings now lost. Others suggest that the builders measured by eye, rope, pacing, and horizon rather than abstract design. The key point is that imperfection can be purposeful. These monuments were not built for aerial diagrams or textbook symmetry. They were built for bodies moving through real landscapes, with the surrounding world acting as part of the plan. Flattened circles may reveal local traditions rather than careless building. In some regions, stone rings are not round in the expected sense. They can appear compressed, widened, or shaped with a flattened side. That pattern becomes intriguing when it appears more than once in a particular area. Repetition suggests a choice, and choice suggests tradition. The builders may have inherited a preferred form that carried local meaning. A flattened arc could emphasize an entrance, a viewing direction, a ceremonial platform, or a relationship with the horizon. It may also reflect the way people gathered inside, with certain positions reserved for specific roles. Some people see these shapes as evidence that prehistoric communities developed regional identities through monument design. Others think practical concerns shaped the layout. What makes the idea compelling is that these circles remind us not to judge the past by modern expectations. A circle did not need to be mathematically perfect to be correct in the eyes of its builders. Egg-shaped circles raise questions about geometry without written mathematics. A few stone rings seem to follow forms that are neither random nor perfectly round. Egg-like plans are especially intriguing because they suggest controlled design using simple methods. Ropes, pegs, arcs, and repeated measurements could create surprisingly complex shapes without writing down a single calculation. This raises a deeper question about prehistoric knowledge. How much geometry can a society preserve through practice alone? A builder might learn by doing, guided by tradition rather than formal theory. The shape may have symbolized life, emergence, or an unequal relationship between directions. Some people attempted to see hidden codes or sacred ratios in these monuments. Others warn that pattern seeking can go too far. Still, the geometry is fascinating because it sits between instinct and precision. These forms prove that ancient design could be sophisticated without looking like modern engineering. The builders may have understood shape through movement, memory, and repeated craft. The builders may have used ropes, posts, and shadows with great skill. It is tempting to imagine that great monuments require advanced technology, but simple tools can produce remarkable results when used with patience. A rope can make arcs. A post can hold a sightline. A shadow can reveal direction. Repeated observations can turn a temporary marker into a permanent stone setting. The genius may lie not in mysterious machines, but in disciplined attention. A community could test a line over many days, adjust markers, and then replace them with stone once the pattern felt right. Some people see this as evidence of practical brilliance hidden behind rough materials. Others believe the simplicity of the tools makes the results even more astonishing. There is also room for speculation. If knowledge was held by trained specialists, their methods may have seemed almost magical to everyone else. The monument would then be both human achievement and guarded secret, built from ordinary things used in extraordinary ways. Simple tools could have produced layouts that still look advanced. A straight sightline between 2 points can do more than people expect. Add a horizon notch, a seasonal sunrise, a central marker, and repeated checking over years, and a stone circle begins to look like advanced design. The truth may be that prehistoric builders mastered accuracy through repetition rather than machinery. They did not need digital instruments to notice where the sun returned. They did not need written plans to preserve a successful layout if the community remembered the procedure. This is humbling because it reveals a kind of intelligence modern people often overlook. Some people use the apparent sophistication to argue for lost civilizations or outside teachers. Others answer that human patience is explanation enough. Both views share one insight. These monuments were not casual piles of rock. They reflect planning, testing, and confidence. The tools may have been simple, but the minds behind them were not. Some circles seem to frame distant peaks like chosen landmarks. At certain sites, the stones appear to pull attention toward mountains, ridges, or notches on the skyline. This may be more than scenic placement. A distant peak can act as a fixed marker for sunrise, sunset, moonrise, or ceremonial direction. It can also hold mythic meaning. In ancient landscapes, mountains often seem like boundary places between ordinary life and the sky. If a circle was arranged to frame such a feature, then the monument and horizon worked together. The stones became the foreground. The mountain became part of the architecture. Some people believe these framed views were deliberate sacred alignments. Others think dramatic settings were naturally chosen because they made gatherings feel important. Either way, the effect is powerful. A visitor inside the circle does not only see stones. They see the landscape being selected, narrowed, and given meaning. The far distance becomes part of the ritual space. Hilltop circles may have turned horizons into ceremonial calendars. A high location gives a wide view, and a wide view gives more places for the sun, moon, and stars to appear or vanish. This makes hilltop circles especially intriguing. From such places, the horizon is not background. It becomes a measuring edge. People could watch where light rose over different points across the year, then attach meanings to those recurring positions. A hilltop also creates visibility. Fires, gatherings, or processions might be seen from far away, turning the monument into a signal as well as a sacred place. Some people imagine these circles as observatories for communities without walls. Others think they were stages where the wider world witnessed ceremony. Wind, exposure, and distance from settlement may have added to their power. Reaching the site could itself become part of the experience. On a high circle, the world opens outward, and the turning sky becomes impossible to ignore. Lowland circles may have marked gathering places rather than observatories. Not every monument was built for a dramatic skyline. Some stand in lower, more sheltered places where the main purpose may have been social and ceremonial gathering. These settings could be close to routes, grazing areas, river valleys, or seasonal meeting grounds. A lowland circle might have served as neutral territory where families, clans, or scattered groups came together. Food could be shared. Agreements could be made. Marriages could be arranged. Stories could be retold. Rituals could confirm belonging. The stones would give permanence to events that happened only at certain times of year. Some people still search for sky alignments at these sites, and sometimes they may be present. Yet the human function may be just as important. A circle in a low landscape can feel less like a telescope and more like a council place. The mystery shifts from astronomy to community. Who gathered there, and what did they decide? Coastal circles suggest sea routes helped spread ideas and stones. The sea was not always a barrier in prehistory. In many places, it was a road. Coastal stone circles and related monuments raise the possibility that ideas moved by boat, carried by travelers who knew tides, stars, landmarks, and safe landing places. Communities along the coast could share styles, stories, and ritual practices faster than inland groups separated by rough terrain. This may help explain why similar monument traditions appear across distant regions without requiring a single empire or central authority. Some people imagine seafarers transporting special stones or teaching sacred layouts from shore to shore. Others see a looser exchange of customs through trade, marriage, and seasonal movement. The coastal setting also connects monuments with liminal places, where land ends and the unknown begins. A circle near the sea may have honored journeys, arrivals, departures, or ancestors believed to dwell beyond the horizon. Island circles show that remote communities joined the same monumental tradition. When stone circles appear on islands, the mystery gains another layer. These communities were not cut off from the wider world in the way modern people sometimes imagine. They were connected by sea routes, shared ideas, and perhaps long-distance ceremonial relationships. Building monuments in remote places required commitment. Stones had to be selected, moved, raised, and maintained by people with limited resources and strong purpose. The result suggests that island communities were active participants in prehistoric cultural networks. They did not merely copy mainland fashions. They adapted monumental traditions to their own landscapes, horizons, and stories. Some people see island circles as evidence of a seafaring sacred culture stretching across the Atlantic edge. Others emphasize local identity and independent invention. The fascination lies in the balance. A remote circle feels isolated when you stand beside it, yet it may belong to a much larger conversation carried across water. Some stones were brought from places with strong ancestral meaning. A stone can be more than a convenient material. It can carry the identity of the place it came from. If a community transported a particular stone from a distant hill, riverbed, or sacred outcrop, the movement may have brought memory into the monument. The stone could represent ancestors, origin stories, territorial rights, or a bond between two landscapes. This idea helps explain why people sometimes chose difficult sources when easier ones existed nearby. The harder journey may have made the stone more powerful, not less. Some people imagine ceremonial processions moving stones across the countryside, with each stage turning transport into ritual. Others suggest that important stones were gifts between communities. A monument built from meaningful materials would not be a neutral structure. It would be a gathering of places. Each stone might have arrived with its own story, and the circle would hold them together. The color of certain stones may have mattered during sunrise. In changing light, stone can transform. A surface that looks dull at noon may glow red, gold, silver, or blue at dawn. Ancient builders who lived close to the land would have noticed these effects. This raises the possibility that some stones were chosen for how they behaved under particular light, not simply for size or availability. A pale stone might catch the first rays before everything else. A reddish stone might seem to ignite at sunrise. A darker stone might become a striking silhouette against the morning sky. Some people connect these choices with ceremony, symbolism, or seasonal events. Others see beauty and practicality working together. The idea is compelling because it reminds us that monuments were not experienced under museum lighting. They changed hour by hour. The builders may have understood the drama of dawn better than we do, and they may have built with light as a material. Quartz stones may have been chosen for brightness and symbolic power. Quartz appears at many prehistoric sites, sometimes as pebbles, fragments, or selected stones. Its brightness makes it unusual, especially in low light. It can catch moonlight, flash in sunlight, and stand out against soil or darker rock. In some traditions, shining stones were associated with purity, spirit, water, or otherworldly force. That makes quartz especially interesting when found near ceremonial monuments. It may have been placed to mark boundaries, decorate surfaces, or create visual effects during ritual. Some people believe quartz had energetic properties recognized by ancient builders. Others see symbolic value based on appearance alone. Either explanation gives the material a special role. A circle containing or surrounded by bright stone would not have looked the same as it does today after centuries of weathering and disturbance. It may once have glittered, sparked, or guided attention. The prehistoric world may have been far more visually charged than its ruins suggest. Cup marks on nearby stones add another layer of mystery. Small circular hollows carved into rock are among the most puzzling prehistoric markings. They appear on stones across many regions, sometimes near circles, cairns, and other ancient features. Their simplicity is deceptive. A cup mark could be a symbol, a container for offerings, a star sign, a map point, or the trace of a ritual action repeated over time. Nobody can say with certainty. When these markings appear close to stone circles, the surrounding monument becomes more mysterious. The builders or later visitors may have been adding meaning to an already charged place. Some people connect cup marks with water, fertility, ancestors, or journeys through the sky. Others think they were part of local symbolic systems that changed from region to region. What makes them fascinating is their quiet persistence. They are small enough to miss, yet deliberate enough to matter. They feel like punctuation from a language we no longer read. Rock art beside circles may preserve symbols older than explanation. Carved symbols near prehistoric monuments open a different kind of mystery. Unlike a standing stone, which can be measured and mapped, a symbol asks to be understood. Spirals, rings, grooves, cups, and abstract patterns may have carried meanings obvious to the people who made them. Today they hover between art, code, memory, and ritual. When such markings appear near circles, they suggest that the landscape was not only arranged, it was inscribed. People were leaving signs on stone surfaces, perhaps to mark stories, ceremonies, ownership, visions, or sacred knowledge. Some people see these carvings as maps of the heavens. Others connect them with altered states or pathways into other worlds. The difficulty is that symbols can survive long after their meanings vanish. This makes rock art feel like the closest thing to a message from the builders, yet the message arrives without translation. The mystery is visible, but unreadable. Broken objects found nearby suggest offerings rather than everyday rubbish. At some prehistoric sites, fragments of pottery, tools, and other objects appear in ways that do not look accidental. They may have been deliberately broken, placed, or deposited as part of ceremony. This matters because brokenness can be meaningful. An object might be destroyed to release its power, mark the end of a gathering, honor the dead, or transfer something from ordinary life into a sacred realm. Modern people often assume a broken item is waste. Ancient communities may have seen it differently. A shattered vessel near a circle could represent a feast, a promise, a funeral rite, or an offering to unseen forces. Some people connect these deposits with closing rituals, where objects were made unusable in the human world so they could belong somewhere else. The stones may have witnessed acts that were small but emotionally intense. Not every mystery is enormous. Some fit in the palm of a hand. Animal bones at some sites hint at feasts and seasonal meetings. Bones found near ceremonial landscapes can suggest that people gathered to eat, share resources, and mark important times together. Feasting was not just about food. It could create alliances, settle tensions, display generosity, and bind communities through shared experience. If animals were brought from different places, the event may have drawn people across wide territories. A stone circle near such gatherings would not have stood apart from life. It may have been surrounded by voices, cooking, movement, and ritual obligations. Some people imagine seasonal festivals where the living, the dead, and the sky were all part of one event. Others see feasting as a way for leaders or families to reinforce social ties. The evidence does not give us the songs or conversations, but it gives us the outline of human presence. The monuments were not always empty and solemn. At times, they may have been full of warmth, noise, and purpose. Pottery fragments reveal people returned repeatedly across many generations. When pieces of pottery from different periods appear around a monument, they suggest that people did not visit once and forget. They came back. Each return may have added another layer of meaning. A circle built by one generation could be used by descendants who understood it differently, then by later communities who inherited only fragments of the original tradition. Pottery helps reveal these long relationships because styles changed over time. A fragment can quietly mark a visit, a meal, an offering, or a ceremony. Some people imagine families returning to ancestral places for rites tied to birth, death, marriage, or seasonal change. Others see monuments as regional meeting points that remained useful even as beliefs evolved. This long use complicates every simple explanation. A circle may have had several lives. The meaning on the day it was built may not have been the meaning hundreds of years later. Cremated remains suggest some circles were places for the dead. At certain stone circle sites, human remains have been found in ways that connect the monuments with funerary practice. This does not make every circle a burial ground, but it does show that death was part of the story at some places. Cremation changes the body through fire, leaving material that can be moved, buried, divided, or placed with care. A circle used in this context may have helped frame the passage between the living community and the ancestral world. Some people see the stones as witnesses to transformation. Others imagine them as guardians around a sacred center. The open sky may also have mattered, because smoke, flame, and celestial cycles all speak to ideas of departure and return. The evidence is sensitive and should be treated with respect. These were real people, not props in a mystery. Their presence reminds us that the stone stood close to grief, memory, and hope. Empty centers may have held performances that left almost no trace. The most important part of a stone circle may be the space inside it. Archaeology can recover stones, pits, fragments, and bones, but it struggles with spoken words, gestures, songs, dances, and vows. A circle might have been built to frame actions that vanished the moment they were completed. The center could have held initiations, storytelling, healing rites, seasonal dramas, or ceremonies where only certain people were allowed to stand. Nothing solid needed to remain for the event to matter. Some people imagine carefully staged performances under the sky, with the stones marking positions for participants or unseen powers. Others see a flexible gathering space used for many purposes over time. This idea is important because it warns us not to judge a monument only by what was buried. The deepest meaning may have existed in movement, sound, and presence. The empty center may once have been the most crowded place of all. Some circles appear unfinished, as though ceremonies stopped without warning. A completed monument tells one kind of story. An unfinished one tells a stranger one. At certain sites, evidence suggests plans that may never have reached their intended form. A stone might be missing from a pattern that seemed prepared for it. A bank may look interrupted. A setting may feel abandoned halfway between design and completion. The reasons could be practical. People moved away, leaders died, resources failed, or the purpose changed. Yet the imagination naturally reaches further. Did a warning, omen, stop the work? Did conflict break the community apart? Did the builders decide the site had become spiritually unsafe? Some people wonder whether unfinished monuments were still sacred, precisely because the interrupted work marked a powerful event. Others see ordinary human uncertainty in the archaeological traces. The fascination lies in the pause itself. A stopped project preserves a moment of decision, and the silence after it can feel louder than the stones. Others were altered over centuries by people with changing beliefs. A stone circle could begin with one meaning and survive into a world that understood it differently. Later communities might add burials, move stones, dig new pits, or build nearby features that changed how the place was used. This makes the monument less like a single message and more like a long conversation. Each generation inherited something old, then responded to it through its own fears, hopes, and rituals. The first builders may have watched the sky. Later, visitors may have honored ancestors. Still later, people may have treated the same stones as magical, dangerous, or blessed. Some people believe these changes show a sacred tradition adapting over time. Others think they reveal how easily meaning can drift once original knowledge is lost. Either way, alteration is not just damage. It is evidence that the place remained important. The stones survived because people kept returning, even when they no longer agreed why. Later, cultures reused circles without knowing their original purpose. When a monument is already ancient, it can become available for new meanings. People who came long after the first builders may have used stone circles as meeting places, boundary markers, burial locations, grazing landmarks, or settings for folk customs. They may have felt respect for the stones without understanding them. This reuse complicates the mystery because objects found at a site might belong to a later phase rather than the original ceremony. A Roman coin, a medieval tale, or a modern offering can all attach itself to a prehistoric place. Some people see this as contamination of the evidence. But there is another way to view it. Reuse shows that the stones kept their authority. Even when the old explanation vanished, the place still seemed worth using. A forgotten monument can become a blank screen for new belief, and that may be one reason stone circles never really leave the human imagination. Roman roads sometimes passed near monuments already ancient beyond memory. By the time Rome reached Britain, many stone circles had already stood for thousands of years. To Roman soldiers, surveyors, and travelers, these places may have seemed as mysterious as they seem to us. Roads were built for movement, control, and administration, yet they crossed landscapes already filled with older powers. When a Roman route passed near a prehistoric monument, two worlds came close together. One belonged to empire, maps, and written record. The other belonged to oral memory, ritual, and deep time. Did Roman travelers avoid the stones, ignore them, or attach their own meanings to them? Some people imagine local guides pointing them out with legends already old. Others wonder whether certain routes followed paths that had been important long before Rome arrived. The meeting of road and circle is fascinating because it reminds us that history does not replace mystery. Sometimes it simply walks past it. Early antiquarians drew circles before archaeology understood their real age. Before modern excavation methods, curious observers sketched, measured, and described stone circles with a mixture of fascination and guesswork. Some thought the monuments were Roman. Others linked them to druids, giants, ancient temples, or vanished peoples mentioned in old books. Their drawings could be imperfect, but they are precious because they sometimes recorded stones that later fell, vanished, or were moved. These early investigators stood at the edge between folklore and science. They wanted explanations, but they lacked the dating methods and careful techniques used today. Some people laugh at their wilder theories, yet their wonder helped preserve interest in the sites. Without their records, certain details might be lost forever. The mystery here is double. We study the circles, but we also study the people who first tried to study them. Their mistakes, instincts, and obsessions became part of the story. Victorian restorations sometimes changed what visitors now believe is original. In the 19th century, enthusiasm for ancient monuments often came with a dangerous confidence. Stones were straightened, re-erected, adjusted, or presented in ways that reflected Victorian ideas about how ruins should look. The intention was often preservation, but the result can blur the line between ancient design and modern intervention. A visitor today may admire a standing stone without realizing its current angle or position was influenced by people much closer to our own time. This does not make the site false, but it adds another layer of uncertainty. Some people see restorations as necessary rescue work. Others worry that they tidied up the past and made it seem clearer than it really was. The deeper question is unsettling. How much of what we experience at a famous circle is prehistoric intention, and how much is inherited repair? Even preservation can become part of the mystery. Aerial photography revealed stone circles that vanished from the surface. From ground level, many lost monuments are nearly impossible to detect. From above, the story can change. Differences in crop growth, soil moisture, and shadow can reveal rings, ditches, and stone holes that have disappeared from ordinary view. This changed the study of ancient landscapes because it allowed hidden patterns to emerge at scale. A field might suddenly show the ghost of a circle after centuries of silence. The discovery feels almost cinematic. The land seems empty. Then an ancient design appears under the right conditions. Some people see aerial survey as proof that the known circles are only a small surviving sample. Others are fascinated by how temporary the evidence can be. A mark may appear in one season and vanish the next. The sky becomes a witness that the ground cannot provide. Through the camera's eye, forgotten circles return briefly, like memories rising through the crops. Drought marks can expose hidden rings beneath ordinary grass. Dry weather can make ancient monuments visible in unexpected ways. Buried ditches, pits, and stone sockets hold moisture differently from surrounding soil. During drought, grass above these features may grow taller, shorter, greener, or paler, forming patterns that reveal what lies below. This means a summer heat wave can uncover traces missed for generations. A normal field can suddenly show a ring, entrance, or enclosure that nobody living has ever seen. There is something haunting about that. The monument is not excavated. It announces itself through stress in the living surface. Some people imagine the earth deliberately giving up secrets when conditions are right. Others see a natural process that rewards patient observation. Either way, drought marks remind us that ancient sites are not always gone. They may be waiting for the weather to translate them. The past can appear for a few days, then sink back into invisibility. Ground scans have found buried features around famous circles. Modern survey techniques have revealed that many well-known monuments are surrounded by hidden structures. Beneath grass and soil, there may be pits, post holes, ditches, banks, pathways, and traces of activity that were invisible to earlier visitors. This matters because a famous circle may be only the centerpiece of a much larger ceremonial landscape. What looked like a simple ring can become a complex system once the underground evidence appears. The public often focuses on the standing stones because they are dramatic. But the buried features may explain how people approached the site, where they gathered, and which areas were restricted. Some people believe these scans are beginning to reveal lost sacred architecture on a grand scale. Others urge caution, because not every underground mark has an obvious purpose. Still, the effect is thrilling. The monument we thought we knew becomes surrounded by shadows, and the shadows start forming patterns. Some newly discovered circles exist only as faint underground traces. Not every ancient ring gives us stones to admire. Some survive only as stains, pits, or geophysical signals beneath the surface. These ghost monuments challenge the imagination because they ask us to picture a structure from almost nothing. A darker patch of soil may be all that remains of a post. A curved line in survey data may mark a vanished ditch. A set of pits may show where stones once stood before removal. Such discoveries expand the world of stone circles beyond visible heritage sites. They suggest that the monumental landscape was once richer, denser, and more varied than the surviving ruins imply. Some people wonder whether entire traditions have disappeared except for these faint signatures. Others see a warning about how easily the past can be erased. A circle does not need standing stones to haunt us. Sometimes the absence itself becomes the evidence. Submerged landscapes may conceal circles lost to rising seas. After the Ice Age, sea levels changed dramatically, and lands once walked by people became seabed. This raises an extraordinary possibility. Some prehistoric monuments may now lie beneath coastal waters, buried by silt, sand, or shifting currents. We already know that ancient settlements and forests can be found offshore in some regions. If people built ceremonial structures on lands later drowned, their traces may be difficult to recognize. A stone circle under the sea would be a mystery almost beyond reach. Was it dismantled before the water came? Did it stand for generations as the shoreline crept closer? Some people imagine whole sacred landscapes lost beneath waves, with circles, paths, and gathering places hidden in darkness. Others caution that underwater evidence is hard to find and harder to interpret. Still, the thought is powerful. The map of known monuments may be missing an entire vanished coastline of belief. Satellite images may reveal patterns impossible to see from the ground. The view from space has changed how people search for ancient sites. Subtle rings, alignments, soil marks, and landscape relationships can appear when seen from far above. This does not mean every pattern is meaningful. Human beings are very good at seeing shapes, even where chance created them. But satellite imagery allows researchers and curious observers to compare huge areas in ways earlier generations could not. A stone circle, a mound, a path, and a water source may suddenly seem connected when viewed together. Some people believe this technology will uncover lost ceremonial networks across entire regions. Others use it more carefully to identify possible sites for ground checking. Either way, it opens a strange modern chapter in an ancient story. The builders watched the sky from the ground. Now we study their work from the sky, looking back down for patterns they may have placed there. The Stonehenge landscape includes pits that may form an enormous boundary. Around the wider Stonehenge area, large buried pits have been identified in a pattern that some interpret as a massive circuit. If the interpretation is correct, the famous stones may have stood within a broader landscape marked by features far less visible, but potentially just as important. These pits could have guided movement, defined sacred territory, or created a boundary around places of special power. The idea is astonishing because it expands the scale of the monument beyond the ring most people picture. Stonehenge becomes one feature inside a planned world of earth, absence, and hidden markers. Some people imagine processions moving through this landscape, aware of boundaries that modern visitors cannot see. Others debate whether the pattern truly reflects design. The mystery remains active because the discovery asks us to rethink size itself. Perhaps the most famous circle was never meant to be understood on its own. Woodhenge suggests timber circles once rivaled stone ones in importance. Near Stonehenge, traces of a circular timber monument reveal a world that has mostly vanished. The posts are gone, but their holes show that wood once formed impressive ceremonial structures. This forces a change in imagination. The prehistoric landscape was not only grey stone under open sky. It may have included towering posts, carved surfaces, colour, shadow, and perishable architecture that disappeared long ago. Timber circles could have hosted ceremonies just as important as those at stone monuments. Their loss is partly an accident of material. Wood decays. Stone remains. Some people see timber and stone as representing different realms, perhaps the living community and the ancestral dead. Others think both materials served practical and symbolic roles that changed over time. Woodhenge matters because it restores a missing half of the story. The monuments that survived may not have been the only ones that mattered. Seahenge showed that wooden sacred circles could survive in wet sand. On the Norfolk coast, the discovery of a prehistoric timber circle shocked many people because wooden monuments are usually lost. Preserved by waterlogged conditions, the structure included upright posts around an inverted tree stump. Its unusual design raised immediate questions about ritual, death, rebirth, and offerings to powers connected with land and sea. The coastal setting made the discovery even more dramatic. Erosion revealed what had been hidden for thousands of years, almost as if the shoreline chose the moment of return. Some people see the central stump as a symbol of the world turned upside down. Others interpret the structure as connected with funerary or seasonal rites. The debates around removal and preservation showed how emotionally powerful ancient sacred sites remain. Seahenge widened the conversation about circles because it proved that wood could carry monumental meaning. The lost prehistoric world was not always stone. Sometimes it was timber, tide, and mystery. The Netherlands has stone tombs linked to a wider megalithic world. The Dutch hunebeds are not stone circles in the classic British sense, but they belong to the broader megalithic tradition that spread across parts of prehistoric Europe. These great stone tombs show that communities far beyond Britain were moving heavy stones, building communal monuments, and linking the dead with enduring structures. Their presence matters because it expands the mystery from one island story into a continental pattern. Why did so many societies begin using massive stones to mark memory, ancestry, and sacred space? Was it shared belief, cultural contact, or a repeating human response to death and landscape? Some people imagine ancient networks of travelers carrying ideas along rivers and coasts. Others see independent communities arriving at similar solutions. The hunebeds remind us that stone circles are part of something larger. Across Europe, people were teaching stone to remember what human voices could not preserve forever. Brittany's stone avenues suggest circles were part of something larger. In western France, the megalithic landscape of Brittany contains extraordinary rows, alignments, tombs, and standing stones. These features make it difficult to treat any one circle or monument as isolated. Instead, the region suggests large-scale planning, repeated ceremony, and a long relationship between people and stone. The avenues are especially fascinating because they create movement. They do not merely enclose a space. They lead the eye and the body across the land. This raises the possibility that circles, rows, and tombs were parts of wider ceremonial routes. Some people imagine pilgrims walking between monuments during seasonal rites. Others see social display, ancestral claims, or territorial marking. More speculative voices suggest encoded knowledge stretching across entire landscapes. Brittany matters because it shows that prehistoric builders could think far beyond a single ring. Stone might form paths, boundaries, gathering places, and cosmic diagrams all at once. Karnak stretches the mystery from circles into vast stone alignments. The stones at Karnak stand in such numbers that they almost overwhelm ordinary explanation. Long rows extend across the landscape, creating one of the most impressive megalithic settings in Europe. The question is not simply how people raised so many stones. It is why they arranged them in such a vast and persistent pattern. The lines may have guided processions, marked sacred territory, connected burial places, or reflected ideas about the sky. Some people have proposed astronomical meanings. Others see social power displayed through collective labor. More fringe interpretations imagine energy channels, lost geometry, or remnants of a forgotten world system. What makes Karnak so compelling is its scale. A small circle can be intimate. Karnak feels like a landscape being organized by an idea too large to fit inside one monument. It suggests that standing stones were not a local curiosity. They were a monumental language. African stone circles show the tradition was not limited to Britain. Stone circles are often associated with Britain and Ireland, but circular stone monuments appear in other parts of the world too. This broader pattern challenges the idea that such structures belong to one simple tradition. In Africa, stone circles and related monuments have been linked with burial, memory, community identity, and sacred geography. Their forms vary, and their cultural contexts are distinct. That difference matters. Similar shapes do not always mean identical purposes. Yet the recurrence of the circle is striking. Around the world, people have repeatedly used stone, enclosure, and circular form to mark places of importance. Some people interpret this as evidence of a shared ancient wisdom. Others see a universal human attraction to the circle as a symbol of gathering, return, and continuity. The global comparison expands the mystery. Stone circles are not just British relics. They are part of a wider human instinct to make meaning endure. Senegambian circles connect standing stones with graves and forgotten kingdoms. In parts of Senegal and the Gambia, thousands of standing stones form remarkable cemetery landscapes. These monuments are much later than many European stone circles, yet they show how powerful the form remained in different cultures and eras. The stones are often associated with burials, but the societies that built them left many questions behind. Who organized the labor? What beliefs shaped the arrangements? How were the dead chosen for such treatment? The scale suggests social complexity and traditions of remembrance that deserve far more attention than they often receive. Some people are fascinated by the possibility of lost histories preserved in stone where written records are limited. Others focus on the craftsmanship and the relationship between monument and community identity. These circles remind us that standing stones can mark not only prehistoric mystery, but also the hidden chapters of African kingdoms, lineages, and sacred landscapes. Nabta Playa may preserve one of the oldest sky-watching sites. In the Egyptian desert, ancient stone arrangements at Nabta Playa have attracted attention because some interpretations connect them with early astronomical observation. The site belonged to people living in a very different environment from the green landscapes many imagine when thinking of stone circles. Seasonal water, cattle keeping, desert movement, and sky watching may all have shaped its significance. Some have proposed alignments with solstice sunrise or important stars. Others urge caution, since desert sites can be difficult to interpret and claims of precision may be debated. Still, the possibility is extraordinary. Long before the pyramids, people in North Africa may have been using stones to mark cosmic order in a landscape where survival depended on timing and movement. Some people see Nabta Playa as a clue that the roots of sacred astronomy run deeper than expected. It is a reminder that the oldest observatories may not look like observatories at all. Some stone circles in Japan belong to complex prehistoric ritual landscapes. In northern Japan, German period stone circles reveal that circular monuments were also part of East Asian prehistory. Sites such as Oyu contain carefully arranged stones, associated features, and evidence of ritual activity. These places belong to communities with rich symbolic traditions. long before many better-known historical periods. Their existence widens the mystery of stone circles across the world. Why did people in such different regions use circular arrangements to mark important places? The Japanese examples may relate to burial, ceremony, seasonal gathering, or social memory. Some people are drawn to the idea of deep patterns in human consciousness, where the circle repeatedly appears when communities try to connect life, death, and cosmos. Others emphasize local culture and independent development. Either way, these sites challenge narrow assumptions. The impulse to arrange stones in circles was not confined to Europe. It appeared wherever people sought lasting forms for invisible meaning. Indigenous Australian stone arrangements raise deep questions about ancient astronomy. In Australia, some stone arrangements have been linked with cultural traditions, ceremony, and possible observations of the sun or stars. These sites must be approached with respect because they belong to living indigenous cultures, not just distant archaeology. Their significance may include stories, lore, landscape knowledge, and relationships that outsiders do not fully understand. Some arrangements have been discussed as possible markers of solstices or other sky events. If these interpretations are correct, they point toward long traditions of careful observation embedded within cultural practice. The deeper mystery is not whether these places resemble European circles. It is how many different ways human societies have connected stone, sky, and story. Some people see them as evidence that ancient astronomy was far more widespread than mainstream education suggests. Others stress that local knowledge holders are central to understanding them. These arrangements remind us that the sky has been read in many languages. Modern replicas show how difficult ancient construction still feels today. When people try to move and raise large stones using simple tools, the past becomes physical. It is one thing to explain a method on paper. It is another to feel the weight, friction, coordination, and risk involved. Experimental reconstructions have shown that teams can shift heavy stones with ropes, sledges, rollers, levers, and careful planning. But they also reveal how much skill the process demands. A mistake could waste days. A small adjustment could require many hands. Communication matters. Leadership matters. Timing matters. This makes ancient builders seem more impressive, not less. Some people still argue that lost technology must have been involved. Others point to human cooperation as the real marvel. The replicas do not remove the mystery. They deepen respect for it. They show that even possible methods were hard, and that raising a circle required community will as much as technical knowledge. No single theory explains why circles appear across different cultures. The more widely we look, the harder it becomes to force all stone circles into one explanation. Some relate to burials. Some may mark sky events. Some define gathering spaces. Some belong to later cemetery traditions. Some are surrounded by folklore, while others are known through excavation and careful survey. The circular form repeats, but the meanings shift. This is what makes the subject so rich. A simple answer would flatten it. A single origin story cannot easily contain Britain, Ireland, Africa, Japan, Australia, and the desert margins of North Africa. Some people are drawn to a grand hidden tradition linking them all. Others see repeated human solutions to shared needs, such as memory, ceremony, direction, and belonging. The mystery survives because both the similarities and differences matter. Stone circles may not be one puzzle. They may be many puzzles that happen to share the same powerful shape. The silence of the builders keeps every explanation slightly unfinished. We can measure stones, map horizons, excavate pits, study fragments, and compare sites across continents. Yet the original voices are gone. no builder steps forward to say which theory is right. No ceremony has been preserved in full. No song from the first gathering can be played again. That absence does not make research pointless. It makes every clue precious. A socket, a carving, a bone, a path, or an alignment becomes part of a conversation with people who cannot answer. Some people find this frustrating. Others find it beautiful. The silence allows many possibilities to stand side by side, from practical calendars to sacred maps, from ancestor places to lost energy systems. The best explanations may explain part of the story, but rarely all of it. Stone circles remain unfinished in our minds because the final sentence belonged to people who left none behind. Stone circles may have united scattered communities through shared ceremonies. Building and using a circle could bring people together in ways daily life did not. Small groups living across a wide region may have gathered seasonally at a monument that belonged to all of them. The work itself could create unity. Moving stones, preparing food, clearing ground, and holding ceremonies would require cooperation. The monument then became proof that the community could act as one. This social power may be as important as any astronomical alignment. A circle gave scattered people a center. It provided a place where disputes could be settled, partnerships formed, and stories renewed. Some people imagine these gatherings as spiritual festivals with music, rites, and shared memory. Others focus on politics and alliance. Both may be true at once. The stones did not only stand for beliefs. They may have helped create the society that believed in them. In that sense, the monument was not just built by a community. It built one. Their true purpose may have changed with every generation that returned. A stone circle standing for centuries would outlive the people who first understood it. Children might learn one explanation from their parents, then pass down a slightly altered version. New ceremonies could be added. Old meanings could fade. A site connected with the sky might later become a place for ancestors. A gathering space might become a boundary marker. A feared place might become a healing place. This gradual change is difficult to detect because archaeology often compresses long periods into layers and objects. But human meaning is fluid. It changes with memory, crisis, migration, and belief. Some people think this is why the monuments feel so deep. They do not contain one secret. They contain many, stacked across time. The original purpose may be only the first chapter. Every return added another. The mystery is not simply what the builders intended. It is what the stones became after the builders were gone. The greatest mystery is why people still feel called to them. Long after their original ceremonies ended, stone circles continue to draw visitors. Some come for history. Some come for photography. Some come at solstice. Some arrive with crystals, notebooks, questions, or nothing but curiosity. The pull is difficult to explain. A ring of weathered stones should not feel so alive, yet many people experience these places as more than old construction. Perhaps it is the age. Perhaps it is the open sky. Perhaps it is the knowledge that human hands shaped something meant to last beyond memory. Some people believe the stones still hold energy or consciousness. Others think the power lies in the imagination awakened by deep time. Either way, the attraction is real. People keep traveling, touching, listening, and wondering. The builders vanished, but the invitation remained. That may be the most surprising survival of all. The stones still gather people. Stone circles remain doorways into a past that never fully speaks. Every monument offers a threshold. On one side is the modern world, with roads, screens, schedules, and explanations. On the other is a deeper place where people watched the sky, without writing their thoughts down for us. We can step through, but only part way. The stones allow contact with the past, yet they do not surrender it completely. That is their lasting power. They give enough evidence to keep us searching, and enough silence to keep us humble. Some people see temples. Others see calendars, tombs, maps, energy sites, or social stages. The truth may include several of these, while still leaving something untouched. A stone circle does not behave like a solved object. It behaves like a question that learned how to stand for thousands of years. And perhaps that is why these places endure in the mind. They do not tell us everything. They ask us to keep listening. And so, we leave the old circles where we found them, standing beneath the open sky, holding their secrets in stone. We have wandered from Stonehenge and Avebury to Orkney, Callanish, Castlerigg, Carnac, Nabta Playa, and far beyond. We have followed hints of solstice light, rare moonrise, hidden roads, buried sockets, vanished timber rings, underwater landscapes, and old stories of giants, dancers, witches, healers, and stones that refuse to be counted. Perhaps these monuments were calendars. Perhaps they were temples, gathering places, ancestral doorways, sky maps, or markers in a sacred network that once stretched across the land. Or perhaps each circle changed over time, gathering new meanings as generations came and went. What remains is the feeling that these stones were never ordinary. They were chosen, carried, raised, visited, feared, loved, and remembered. And even now, after so many centuries, people still come to them with questions. If you enjoyed this journey, you are warmly invited to like, subscribe, or leave a thought below. It helps others find this sleepy corner of mystery too. And if you are still awake, another curious journey should be waiting for you on the screen. But for now, let the stones fade into the distance. Let the circles become shapes beneath the stars. Let the old pathways grow still, the moonlit fields soften, and the questions rest without needing answers tonight. Allow your shoulders to loosen. Let your breathing slow. And imagine the ancient stone standing far away in the dark, keeping watch while the world grows calm. There is nothing more you need to solve. Nothing more you need to follow. The mystery can remain unfinished. And you can simply rest. Sleep well, and good night.